So you mentioned that you moved out to Hollywood as a youngster, still even 20 years old. What was the impetus for that move?
Well, it's why it's a wild story. It's really kind of dramatic what happened. I had a band. I got interested in playing some country music, and I had a band with a guy who was a great world class genius steel guitar player, Larry White. He's
Yeah.
passed on now, but I had a band with him, and the guy played bass with me in all my bands from eighth grade talent show on around. And so we were playing this this country gig, and I was crazy about the Burrito Brothers. So the Burritos came to town, and my friend Larry showed Sneaky Pete through the MSA factory, and got to know Sneaky a little bit. They gave us passes to come to see their show that night. So we went to see the Burritos, and we did 4 or 5 of their songs already. I thought it was the coolest thing. It's just really only them and some birds, and we would do old Everly Brothers songs and some rockabilly things, but the Burritos were kind of carrying that kind of torch. And anyway, after the gig, Graham came over to our crash pad where we had all our gear set up, and we jammed around all night, and Graham could name any song, and Larry would just kick it off like the record because he just he just knew everything.
Yeah.
He playing that kind of music, and so Graham was so impressed with Larry that he encouraged us to move to to come to L.A. Uh, um, anyway, yeah, a couple of weeks after that was August of 1970 that gig was, and within a couple of weeks we got to L.A. and Graham got us in the talent show at the Palomino, and we won. We resisted being in the talent show, and he said, "Hey, we're a, we're a band. We're a working band. It's not fair for us to be in this talent show." And he says, "Just do it," and we won $50 and got another another case of beer in a
Yeah.
motel room or
It'd
something.
be a 12 pack of eggs nowadays, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
Well, anyway, that's what got me to California at that juncture, and then I was around Graham a little bit after I got there, but then I didn't see him at all the last year of his life. I just
so
knew him.
one of the things I read about you is while you were in Southern California, you were part of a bluegrass folk band out there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not exactly the part of the country you would think for bluegrass and folk,
Well, it's
right?
crazy. I moved to Hollywood, and right down the streets, the Grateful Dead and the whoever else was playing. But by that time, I'd already done my thing about trying to play like Eric Clapton, Cream, and Hendrix, and those kind of things that you have to play to be a guitar player on a gig in late '60s. So I met this kid, this Japanese kid had a Martin D18 and a Doc Watson record, and I flipped out over Doc Watson, and so I just started trying to play bluegrass, and I got a little banjo player and the bass player got an upright bass, and we had a bluegrass trio. We were the White Horse Brothers,
Yeah.
and then that evolved into being Uncle Jim's Music. We named our band after the bass player's uncle, who put us up and got us, uh, you know, gave us a way to survive in California and he got us a record deal on Cap Records, which is part of MCA, and that was Uncle Jim's Music. We made 2 records that did not much of anything. We got some good reviews, but um, I mean, bass player's uncle was our manager, and he was an ex cop and Marine and stuff. I mean, we could have had better management, but we weren't really ready. We weren't really good enough. You know,
Yeah.
um, Interesting thing is Don Henley played on our demos. He's the only I knew him from North Texas, and the only drummer I knew in Hollywood. So when we made demos, I got Don to play, and then um, this is way before he got the gig with Linda Ronstadt, and then the Eagles formed
Yeah.
before my very eyes and pretty much took over what country rock music was supposed to be at that time. You
Yeah.
know,
So looking back at this period of your life, man, knowing everything that happened after this and who you became, how important do you think it was kind of cutting your teeth at this time in your life for your future self?
well, I think it's invaluable. I mean, just to get thrown into the music business that early, and go through having a record deal, making a record, a couple records. Our first record was produced by John Borland, who produced Ronstadt's records before Peter Asher had that great run with her. But John was really great record producer. And then our second record, Al Smith was our
Wow.
record producer. And so here's the greatest engineer
Hmm.
in the world right before my very eyes. I, I wasn't as developed as I would have needed to cut through the marketplace at that time. I mean, I'm you know you start out and you're okay, and then you get better.
Yeah.
and
As a as a musician at the,
when I look back at that body of songs, I see it as somebody who was developing.
yeah, as a musician at that time, you got these fantastic producers around you. Are you kind of sponging that too? Because you end up a Grammy award winning producer too. So like,
Yeah, well, I was watching that go on, but the thing is, for the second record, Jim Ed Norman joined our band, and I was so caught up in being the guy that had to come up with the songs and sing, be the lead singer and stuff, that the um, the production part of it, the gear, and what microphone's doing this, and is this the better preamp, and what about this compressor? This I wasn't paying as much attention. There I had Al Schmidt right in front of me, and I didn't even know
yeah,
that he'd already done Sam Cooke and uh, a surrealistic pillow and everything that Al did. But Jim Ed was paying closer attention, and I think of course he evolved into a great record producer, and he probably learned more out of that experience than I did.
yeah. Jim Ed had a big impact on your career as well, didn't he? Kind
Well,
of.
yeah, he brought me to Nashville, but yeah, the band split up, and I wound up playing bars around LA and stuff, and then decided my wife and I got married in '73 and moved back to Texas to be close to family and get out of the smog and stuff. And by then, I had become friends with Clarence White, and he got killed in a tragic car thing, and I don't know, it just seemed like it was time to get back to Texas, and um, that's just what happened. What were we talking about?
Just the impact of Jim Ed Norman, and I mean,
Well, yeah, Jim Ed, of course, he had success as record producer and stayed in L.A., and then he got a break producing Anne Murray, and then he got the gig to produce something on Mickey Gilley for the Urban Cowboy
Urban Cowboy,
soundtrack.
yeah, yeah.
And we'd kept in touch, and he asked me if I had any songs, and I had this song that was it's a crazy concept. I don't think anybody's ever done this. It's a song about two people who won't speak to each other anymore because they're arguing, but they argue by playing songs back and forth on the jukebox.
Yep.
And she plays "Release Me" and he plays "Stand by Your Man," and she plays "Don't Be Angry" and he plays "Out of Hand," and she plays "Good Hearted Woman" and "When Will I Be Loved," and he plays "He'll Have to Go" and "The Window Up Above," and she plays "Jealous Heart" and "Suspicious Mind," and he plays "Cheating Heart" and "Lying Eyes," and she plays "I'll Get Over You," and he plays "Born to Lose." It goes on and on.
Yep.
And anyway, Mickey recorded. that. Mickey Gilley recorded that. Jim Ed produced Mickey Gilley doing that for the soundtrack. And that was my foot in the door and a way to come to Nashville. And Jim Ed uh, gave me a publishing deal to write for his company in 1980.